Queen's Theatre, well, when I came, I'd retired from the theatre, and because I also had a second string. I was a theatrical management and an agent and God knows what else. And I went into catering, and one night I went into the Park Lane Hotel in London, and I trained at the Westminster Hotel School, which was there were only 2 hotel schools in the country, and we were on a par with Lausanne. And I went into the Park Lane Hotel one night, as I say, and I met the old head of department, and he happened to say, "Have you got a spare moment or time between now and Christmas?" And this was September. I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, one of the lecturers I'd had died during the holiday, and I couldn't replace him immediately. Would I stand in?" Well, I stood in, and I found the pay was quite good then, and I decided that, oh well, give up touring, and I'd married, and I could stay at home without going all over the country. So I went there, and I applied for the full-time job, and I went on and I went lecturing for the next 20 odd years, and I ended up as principal lecturer here at North Devon College, and I was the only principal lecturer I think they've ever had. They had not had one before me at any rate. So I came down here in 1980, and I hadn't been here long, and word had got round that I was about. I know my interest, and I had a phone call one night. Could I step in to take over a part in the musical Viva Mexico? That was with Barnstable musical comedy. And I did, and that was 3 weeks' notice, and I did that, and well, then I was hooked, and Instow Rep followed, because Instow had a very good repertory company, and we did a number of plays here at the theatre. I would say I listed the ones I could remember. We did The Winslow Boy, Shut Your Eyes and Think of England, On Monday Next, Bride and the Bachelor, Murder at the Vicarage, The Happiest Days of Your Life, and Wind in the Willows. We also did the first presentation in this theatre for when it was still the Queen's Hall, and that was Wizard of Oz. And we decided to go for 5 nights then for that one. We normally did 3, and we sold out a week before the show, and we did that here. So so there's an example there of one of the sets we had for one of our plays. It was nothing sort of amateurish as such. We tried to make it as professional as possible, and I followed it up by playing in the Mikado. I was playing the miserable old so-and-so, the Lord High thing in that. Oklahoma, I was Fagin and Oliver. Shadbolt and the Yeoman and the Guard. You know, I've done quite a lot in this theatre. Now, also, in that period in 1980, and the thing I picked up on in the programme, is that the Friends organisation were not the first people here for the support for the theatre. It was the Queen's Consorts, and the name suggested by my wife, and it was a lady from Braunton. She and I started this thing off here, and we had a committee, and we did the raising of the money for the theatre, and we were doing the raffle tickets for the pantomime and all the rest of it. And you know, and I was treasurer, and then I became chairman of the committee. Well, I was a bit annoyed just to see that Friends were the start of it, because Friends is associated with the landmark. That's where that name started. We were the Queen's Consorts. And so that name's not been mentioned anywhere, and yet we were the first fundraisers, and we used to do the entertaining of a lot of the productions that came here, and most of them were held in this room. You know, this was, I was looking through all these things, and sort of its memories. I know this theatre quite well, and the funny thing is I've never played the landmark.
Fantastic.
You know, I think of all the dumps I've played all over the country. One of the nicest companies I was ever with in the theatre was when I joined Norman Evans.
Right.
Norman Evans was one of the greatest, nicest acts I've ever been with. And I remember one night when we were playing in that week when I joined his company. On the Monday night, I was standing in the wings because Norman did 3 spots. He did his dentist sketch, he did his panda, and he did his over the garden wall at the end of the show. And I was following him on one of the early spots. I was doing 2 spots in the show because I had a marionette act as well. And he turned around to me in the wings just as he was about to go on. He said, "Who follows me, lad?" And I said, "I do, Mr. Evans." And he said, "Oh, what was your name again?" I said, "John Dudley," and that was my stage name. Took my 2 middle Christian names. And he said, "Oh, what are you doing?" I said, "Magic act, comedy with candles." And he said, "Right, I'll introduce you because I can't get off the stage quickly enough." Well, he did introduce me and gave me a wonderful introduction, build up. I went on, did the act, and I went a bomb the whole week. On the end of my act, I had to get rid of a member of the audience off the stage and back there. And so I used to do another sort of smaller trick at the end of it, which involved another candle, which went into a bit of doggerel, which I used at the end of the act. Was "The time has come to say goodbye, my magic act has ended. I hope you all enjoyed my fun, as always I've intended. With crazy candles, wand and silks, I now must leave your sight. And so I'll wish you one and all a magical," and the candle turned into a large bouquet of flowers. I said, "Good night." And because it always got a wonderful reception. On the Saturday night, second house, Norman had just finished his over the garden wall. And he looked at the audience, he said, "I've had a young man join my company this week with his very clever magical act, and he always gets a very good reception when he leaves the stage because he has a little rhyme. Well, I'm going to copy him, so here goes. I hope you've all enjoyed the show. I hope you'll come again. And when you all go out tonight, I hope it doesn't rain." And he came into the wings and he said to me, "That put one over thee, lad." He was lovely.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah, but I've been with a lot of the old timers too as well. And you know, great fun, great life.
Superb.
Yes. But I don't do anything now except collect stamps.
So
Well, I knew how to walk on a stage and I could hold a house. And when you walk on, the first thing you do is you take in the whole of the circus.
Oh, yes.
Take in the whole lot and smiling up and looking at them all, and then round the stalls.
Yeah.
And of course I learned all the heckle stoppers that were going. And there was one favourite heckle stopper I used, and that was if anybody called out there. But apart from it, I could always think of a quick reply to it, but there was my favourite one I had. I always got the line boy. I said, "Just a moment, would you, up on the lines, would you mind putting the spotlight on that gentleman sitting down in that row there?" And because the line would come round and then it would go, "Would you mind standing up a moment, please, sir?" And he'd stand up, and I said, I'd wait a moment, and I'd say, "Well, it's all right, you can sit down now. I just want to see whether you were as big as your mouth." And I used that several times in my career. I couldn't wait. Well, I was able to take early retirement, and I did it when I was 56. A thing came around that you could take early retirement, and I worked out what the pension would be, and it was exactly the same as if I did another 10 years. So I took it, and I went back. Well, I was already doing children's entertainment and what have you with puppets and magic, because I am a Gold Star member of the Inner Magic Circle as well. Mm-hmm. And I did this around the holiday parks. I got this whole area covered, and in my final year I did 434 shows.
Good grief.
Yeah, and I said to my wife about a few months before I stopped doing it, I said, "If I don't stop now, I'm going to have a heart attack." Because we were doing twice nightly in different camps. And I had a full puppet theatre with sound system and all the rest of it, and 5 roll-on tables of magic. There are other photographs of it. I mean, so I've done a lot of radio broadcasts. I've got copies of the radio broadcasts. I've done a number, I've done with Judy Spars and other ones there, and